Hello, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to continue talking about cold calling. Yesterday, or our last program, was in the form of a conversation between Rick and Elise. And evidently their cold calling venture or their telemarketing plan was not successful. So in today's program, we're going to actually look at an article about cold calling. And it's like a seminar, okay? And it's basically teaching people how to do cold calling and be successful with it.
Cool, yeah. What does it take? I think it takes someone who doesn't let rejection get to them and are always kind of in a good mood and always hopeful that maybe this time they'll make a sale.
Yeah, nobody really wants to do this kind of job, but, you know, there might be people who actually do enjoy it, and they can learn rejection. If people say no 100 times, if they get a yes for every 100 calls or something, they think they're successful doing it. So you want to become a pro at cold calling, and some of you out there may be involved in this particular profession as we speak.
Actually, Tom, if you had one successful sale or one sale out of 100 calls, I would say that's very good.
Probably,
Cold calling's tough. It is.
Probably is, because most people probably just don't believe you're legitimate, or they'd rather look, you know, at the product themselves in the store.
They don't like the mode of sales. The mode is just method, you know. Like I said, I'd prefer to go into a store or at least get online and look at stuff for quite a while.
But evidently, this particular venture is successful for some companies. Otherwise, people would not be doing this. They're not doing it to bother you on purpose.
I think it might be the elderly people at home.
Could be. Yeah. They could be preying on those people who don't have anything to do with their time, so they go ahead and fall for these. Well, I don't want to say fall for these things.
Yeah, this isn't a tricky scheme, guys. They really have a legitimate product. It's just that, sometimes the elderly, you know, they want to talk to someone. Maybe they're the only one at home, and so they will buy something they don't need.
Okay, but and then, of course, scams are another thing.
Oh, yeah.
But we're talking about legitimate cold calling or telemarketing, and we're not trying to cheat people and stuff like that.
No.
So, again, this is about becoming a pro at cold calling, the ultimate cold calling seminar. And let's get to it. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson now, and then we'll be back to discuss it. The Ultimate Cold Calling Seminar. Introduction. Salespeople often get cold feet when they're asked to start cold calling. However, learning how to cold call can really boost your earnings. It's not a complicated procedure either. It's all about mindset and performance. With that in mind, here are some straightforward tips that will undoubtedly help you out. Mindset. Many of the world's top cold callers are unsuccessful 90% of the time. In order to become good at cold calling, you must accept rejection. There are several ways to do this. You can treat rejection as an opportunity to learn. Whenever a prospect rejects your offer, try to get constructive feedback about why they turned you down. You should change your attitude toward rejection. Instead of feeling depressed, try to find humor whenever someone has a nasty attitude and insults you. You might even turn it into a game with your colleagues. Create a group list of the most brutal rejections you hear each day and laugh at them. Performance. Cold calling success requires closely following a sales script. You shouldn't read it like a robot, though. You need to recite the script with positive emotion and excitement in your voice. During calls, jot down any objections that you receive. Design a proper response for each objection. So when someone tells you that your product is too expensive, you can confidently explain why it's a good deal. Before you know it, you'll be closing more sales than you've ever imagined.
Let's dig in here. We're going to become a pro or professional at cold calling. We often use that, you know, oh, he's a pro, she's a pro at that. Yeah, they're definitely not a beginner. They are definitely really well trained or very good at what they do. They're a pro. So there are a lot of pros out there who are quite good at cold calling. Some people, believe it or not, actually enjoy it. So that's the kind of person that should be hired for this position. So we're going to be talking about the ultimate or the best cold calling seminar. A seminar is similar to a conference, a business conference. Typically, it's either in your city. If you're lucky, it's in another city and you get to fly or go somewhere. We love those because the company pays for the trip. But it's usually 1 day or 2 days. It depends on what it is. You'll listen to different speakers occasionally, or sometimes it's just one. Usually they have different speakers at these seminars. And it's oftentimes held in a big hotel where they can accommodate a lot of people. Sometimes you sit at tables, and you listen for a couple hours, and they have lots of breaks where people get drinks and things to eat. And it's kind of fun to meet new people that way.
Sure. So they're bringing all these people together for this seminar in order to make them better at cold calling or telemarketing, as we've been mentioning. Now, again, this is a seminar, so here's the introduction. This is how you introduce some kind of presentation. You kind of give some general information for a couple of minutes, and then you get down to brass tacks. You get down to business and get down to the details. So here in the introduction, it says, salespeople often get cold feet when they're asked to start cold calling. So if I were working for a company and someone said, okay, instead of talking to your usual clients and stuff like that and making sales calls and stuff like that, you're going to be on the telephone now calling complete strangers. You're going to do some cold calling. Oh, do I really have to? I don't want to do that. I'm used to dealing with the clients we already have. I wasn't trained for that. That wasn't part of the job description when I started working here. So yeah, people probably find excuses, or they just simply don't want to do it. They're afraid to do it. They get cold feet, probably because they can't deal with rejection.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. You have to have the right kind of personality. It says here, learning how to cold call can really boost your earnings. Your earnings refer to the money that you make at a job. Could be your salary included with your maybe year-end bonus. There are other little benefits that companies offer sometimes, but your earnings are just the amount of money you make from that particular job, your earnings. We also use it as a noun. What did you earn? Or what were your earnings last year? We would use earning without the S if we're phrasing it like this. What are you earning at that job? Can you tell me? Typically, foreigners don't like to be asked how much money they make at their job. I've been asked that here, which is so funny to me because even in my family, I don't know what my brothers make. I don't know what my sisters make at their jobs. It's kind of, we know if they're doing really well or if they're having a hard time, but nobody talks exact numbers. We just feel like that's very private information. Is it considered to be that private, though, here in Taiwan?
I don't really know because it's been quite a long time since somebody asked me that. 你一个月赚多少钱? I haven't heard that question.
Well, those are strangers, right? But in a family, do you know what your brother-in-law makes or
no,
sister-in-law?
Not at all. No, that's not discussed. It's considered personal information.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you learn how to do cold calling, it can boost your earnings, especially if you work in a company where you get paid by commission or something like that, and you can make a little extra money doing this kind of stuff. And it's not a complicated procedure either, okay? It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's all about mindset and performance. Here we've got the word mindset. That's the next section here, but I'll define it now. Mindset is basically your attitude about something and how you feel about something. So yeah, if you have a positive attitude about this kind of job, you'll probably do well. If you have a negative sort of mindset about it, you're going to be looking for excuses. You're going to be complaining about it. You're going to get cold feet. You're going to avoid it. So yeah, it's probably going to be a miserable job for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Having a good attitude or a good mindset is important in any type of job that you take on, or just in life in general. You want to be optimistic and positive. If you're negative all the time, people don't want to hang around you for very long. So, yeah, having a good mindset's important. In order to become good at this, you must accept rejection. So if someone rejects you, they say, no thanks, not interested. Usually rejection comes after you've invited someone to do something or offered something to someone and they don't want it. So they reject your offer. Here it says, if you're the one doing the cold calling, you have to accept rejection or understand that people are going to say, no, thank you, don't want it, leave me alone. And sometimes they hang up on you. So there are several ways to accept rejection. The first one they mention is you can treat it as an opportunity to learn. Yeah. Not everybody will respond in the same way. You can learn ways that are successful and learn the ways that maybe aren't as successful and maybe not use those in the future. Whenever a prospect, that's a person that you're cold calling. A prospect means they have the potential to become a customer. When they reject your offer, try to get constructive feedback about why they turned you down. Now, it would be a pretty nice person to actually, give you some constructive feedback because it's taking up more of their time. But constructive feedback is positive criticism. Criticism can be negative and criticism can be positive. And if you're getting constructive criticism, it's the kind of criticism and comments that can help you improve and not just make you feel like you're a loser. Oh, a loser, yeah.
Right. Of course, sometimes people will complain, why are you doing it like that? You shouldn't do it that way. That's dumb. That's stupid. You might say, well, why don't you give me some constructive comments here, some constructive criticism instead of just complaining about it. So, yeah, take this as a learning opportunity.
Sure.
And I think also because it's rejection from strangers, you don't need to take it personally, okay? If somebody talks to you that way and they're your wife or your children or your parents or your spouse or whatever. Yeah, that can be personal, okay? That can hurt. But these people don't know you and they're rejecting you. So, yeah, don't take it personally. They'll reject anybody else. So, you can treat this as a way to learn something and you don't have to let it get you. And whenever a prospect rejects your offer, yes, indeed, get that constructive feedback. Maybe they'll offer it, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Hey, why are you rejecting me? Did I come on too strong?
Hey, can I ask you if they seem nice and receptive or willing to at least talk to you? Hey, can I ask you how I might rephrase that? Is there something I could have said that would make you more interested in hearing my pitch? Your pitch is your little sales pitch. I love the last one, Tom. You need to change your attitude toward rejection. Instead of feeling depressed, try to laugh about it. Try to find humor whenever someone has a nasty attitude, just is really rude and mean, and they start to insult you. That's terrible. Yeah, and then you can take that list of, funny examples of rejection and share it with your colleagues, with your friends. See who had the best rejection of the day. You could do a lot of fun things in a call center to kind of, pick people's spirits up, find a way to laugh. If you laugh, life is a heck of a lot better than being depressed about things. Colleagues are the people that you work with. You could also use the word coworkers. Colleagues, to me, is a step higher, I would say people who have trained for their career, their colleagues. Usually in businesses, we do say colleagues, though, if you have an office job.
Yeah, they wouldn't be your colleagues if you're working in the dish room, okay? Or in the kitchen.
In a restaurant,
at a diner or something like that. But if you're wearing, ties and things in a nice air-conditioned office that's carpeted, yeah, these would be your colleagues, especially if they all have advanced degrees and are making high salaries and stuff like that.
True.
So, indeed, yeah, turn it into a game. You can compare notes. Hey, they called me a big chicken or something like that or whatever. If it were me, of course, I'd be tempted to actually insult the people back.
Oh, dear.
If they insulted me, I think, oh, is that all you got? That's not a very good insult.
Tom,
I got something better, but you can't do that, right?
I want to remind everyone, those cold calls are recorded by the company that hires those people to cold call you. So they can't get too nasty. So it's not fair if you insult them because they can't really say anything mean back.
Yeah, you're supposed to be nice and stuff like that. Otherwise, you might get fired. Okay, so we've talked about mindset. Now let's talk about performance, okay? Cold calling success requires closely following a sales script. We did mention the word script in our last program, and you do need to closely follow that script. The company has certain policies that you need to follow, so you can't just be creative there and make stuff up. You have to stick to the script, and you shouldn't read it like a robot, though. So yeah, you need to read that script or stick to the script and sound like it's your own words.
Or it's the first time you've ever said those words out loud. It requires a little bit of acting because most of us, if we've read something a million times, it gets a little boring. I appreciate when people call and they sound like they're really enthusiastic and, I'm the first person they ever called about this. But usually I get people that do sound like they're just reading from a script and it's not very exciting. So you need to recite the script. Recite is to repeat back. That's what that means. Recite the script with positive emotion and excitement in your voice, even if you're really tired and, this is the 300th call you've made that day and you haven't had one sale. It's kind of hard to be positive.
Right, but you do need to try to be positive and indeed, during calls, jot down, take some notes of any objections that you receive. Now, of course, your objection, is when you disagree. The verb, of course, is to object. Hey, I object to that. I do not agree with what you said there. So, yeah, if they do object to what you say, if they don't accept your proposal, if they reject you, then you can write down some notes and learn from the experience.
Sure, I think that's a really good thing. Object. So jotting down objections that you receive, those are good ideas. Design a proper response for each objection. You can, I think that's also in their script, to be honest. They have some answers to some of the objections that they hear. But it's always fun to come up with something unique. I'm sure that sometimes they get on the phone with people like Tom. Tom would probably say something very unique. And so it would probably stop them.
I'd get fired pretty fast, actually.
No,
You're not going to accept my offer, you moron?
No,
You're stupid for not accepting my offer.
You're the person being called in my example.
Okay.
If you hear a really unique objection, and Tom or my father would have a unique one. It might be enough to kind of lift your spirits because, I haven't heard that before, and you have to actually think about how you're going to respond. So design a proper response, but remember, you're going to hear some completely unique objections from people you call. So when someone tells you that your product is too expensive, you can confidently explain why it's such a good deal. I often have them try to explain why I need to grab this because, wow, what a deal we're offering you. I think that's fun.
You need to be prepared for any possible response. They're probably going to say it's too expensive or some other company has a better product. So, yeah, you need to have something prepared to say if they say that.
Yeah, they might say, oh, I know your company. You guys make junk. It's hard.
I don't know where you've heard that, but actually, according to research, some of our products are the best in the world.
Yeah, there you go.
Be prepared for such a criticism. And before you know it, you'll be closing more sales than you've ever imagined. So, of course, these are some basic tips for you to consider if you're going to work in cold calling or telemarketing. And that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
大家好，我是派老师。我们今天所讲解的是 Unit15 多益单元第2天的课程内容。第1天课程里 Rick 和 Elise 有一段对话，他们决定请顾问培训公司的业务人员，让他们掌握 cold calling 的诀窍。今天的课程则是顾问办了一个研讨会 Seminar 提醒业务人员成功的关键在于 mindset and a performance。 mindset and performance， 心态还有电话上的实际表现。心态要如何调整呢？有2个重点。第一 ，treat rejection as an opportunity to learn， 把拒绝当作学习机会。第二 ，change your attitude toward rejection， 改变自己对拒绝的态度。电话上的实际表现要注意3个重点。第一 ，recite the script， 把脚本背下来。第二 ，jot down objections， 把反对的看法写下来。Design proper responses to objections， 针对各种反对的意见，设计出适当的回应。我们现在一起看看课文当中的重要单字片语。在 introduction 简介的部分，第一句 Salespeople often get cold feet when they're asked to start cold calling。 请同学把 get cold feet 画起来。这个片语表示突然退缩，裹足不前。这句话的意思是，业务人员接受指示要做陌生电话行销 cold calling 的时候，常常会临阵退缩，就是不想做。那老师再给大家另外一个例句，让大家了解 get cold feet 到底应该如何使用。David was going to ask his girlfriend to marry him on the MRT, but he got cold feet at the last minute. 什么意思啊？就是 David 和女朋友交往了一段时间之后，原本想要给她惊喜，在捷运上呢，公然的对她求婚，可是就在这个最后关头，他却临阵退缩了。David was going to ask his girlfriend to marry him on the MRT, but he got cold feet at the last minute. 第二句 However, learning how to cold call can really boost your earnings. 请同学把 boost your earnings 画起来。boost 其实就是提升的意思，这边呢所指的当然就是如何学会做陌生电话行销，就能够呢帮助你赚更多钱 boost your earnings。 接着请看到 mindset 的第一句 Whenever a prospect rejects your offer， 请同学把 prospect 画起来。这里的 prospect 所指的就是潜在的客户。接着请同学看第二个改变心态的做法 Turn it into a game。 Turn A into B 这句话的意思是把 A 变成 B。 那这里的 it 指的呢是前面这个接电话的人态度很差，甚至呢会羞辱你。这个你所指的就是业务人员。那业务人员要学着把这个经验变成游戏 Turn it into a game。 接着请同学看到 performance 这个部分。 Cold calling success requires closely following a sales script。 陌生电话行销要做的成功，就必须确确实实按照脚本来操作。请同学把 requires 这个动词画起来。 require 是及物动词，表示要符合什么条件。老师给大家一个例句哦。举例来说 To become fluent in English requires a lot of practice and patience。 大家都希望英文能够流利，那要符合什么条件呢？需要大量的练习，也要很有耐心。 To become fluent in English requires a lot of practice and patience。 请大家谨记在心。接着请看到 performance 第二个注意事项 Jot down any objections。 请同学呢把这个 jot down 画起来，就是写下。那请特别注意 objections 这个名词，它其实来自于 object 这个动词。 object 要特别注意的是，我们中文说反对，譬如说反对这项计划，都是听起来就像是及物，就直接加个名词就好了，反对这项计划。但英文要注意哦， object 是不及物动词。我们举个例句来看 Many residents objected to the construction of a nuclear power plant. Many residents objected to the construction of a nuclear power plant. 有很多的居民反对新建核电厂 objected to the construction of a nuclear power plant。 请同学看到 performance 第三个注意事项， You can confidently explain why it's a good deal. 请同学把 it's a good deal 画起来。这个片语的意思就是很划算 It's a good deal. 好的，以上是我们针对多益单元第2天的中文讲解。谢谢大家。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We have 2 discussion questions, as we always do on day 2. I'll ask you this one first, Tom. What are some ways that you deal with rejection in your life, in your own personal life?
I probably take it too personally, but I do try to remember that it probably isn't anything personal, like back in high school when I tried to ask Pretty Dawn out for a date and she said no. That was rejection. I thought my life was over at that point. I really wanted to go out with her, and I thought that there's no reason to live anymore. So, of course, you have to realize that, people get rejected all the time. And there's still plenty of fish in the ocean. So I think, one way to deal with rejection is to just get rejected more and more and get used to it, and then you won't take it so personally.
Yeah, we often talk about growing a thick skin, like you're some sort of animal. And the more rejection that you face, the tougher your skin or, your attitude becomes, and it no longer hurts. It doesn't bother you. I think a lot of salespeople have developed that. They have to be positive all the time, whether they're cold calling or they're talking to maybe a potential customer. So here's my question. Would I ever want to work as a cold caller? Why or why not? I have to be honest, I really wouldn't. I don't like to annoy people. Although I have some products that I've really liked in the past, and I contacted the company to see if they were selling it in Taiwan because I wanted to represent them. I thought the product was so great. And when I feel like that, I think that, if I had that kind of product, I might consider doing cold calling. Doing sales, though, is not easy. You get to travel a lot sometimes, but you have to be mentally tough. That's what I say.
You have to have a good mindset and performance and things like that. I don't think I'd like to work as a cold caller, but I would like to receive calls from cold callers just so I could, mess with their minds a little bit.
You just want to joke around with them.
Joke with them or try to make it sound like I'm actually interested in their product, so they talk, and at the end, actually, I'm not interested. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
No, I don't want your dumb product.
Yeah, but it might be fun, but after a while, it'd probably get old. So, and plus, those people are trying to raise families and stuff like that. So, should try to be nice every once in a while.
It's a job.
That does bring us to the end of our program, though. So, if you're all working, doing cold calling, we wish you the best of luck. And yes, deal with that problem of rejection, and I'm sure you'll do well. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.